The Trans Rights Readathon is on at the moment, and I'm a trans author. My book, however, isn't out until September, but it is available for pre-order. But I wanted to take a moment to talk about the book, to tell you a little bit about it, how I wrote it, why I wrote it, how I got my publisher, and what I'm writing next. My book, This Is How the World Ends by Disco Barrington, is a 100-page queer dystopian novella about the end of humanity and what comes after. It's sad, it's gay, it's a bit dark, but it does have beautiful moments of love and community. And it opens in a near-future Britain, which is isolated by a digital blockade and at war, but within the borders, dissidents and queer people are forced to run a deadly race for the public's entertainment. And then it follows a family who are trying to sort of soldier on as the country is just flooded and lots of crazy things are happening, and one person in the family decides she's going to try her luck out beyond the borders, but it doesn't go well. I've always written sort of bits and pieces of fiction, like of short stories. There's a magnum opus novels that I've been working on for pretty much 10 years now, but this really did feel like it came out of nowhere. I wrote the first chapter, which started as a short story, the day that the UK Supreme Court ruled against trans women and essentially said that trans women aren't women. And I was sitting in an airport about to go back to the UK from the Netherlands, and I got the news and I was infuriated. And then this short story just poured out of me. And then I sort of left it alone, and then I thought maybe I could shop this story around, maybe I could do something with it. And then the story just continued. I felt like there was more that was happening in this world that I had created out of my fear. And then in the middle of the night, maybe, I don't know, 3 a.m. at one point, where I was vaguely working on it, I realized that there were two other work in progresses that I had, and the openings of those were sort of at different points in time in the future. And then I realized, oh, it's all one timeline. I've been working on all one timeline, and then I smushed it together and stayed up all night and then vaguely had a story. I started it in April 2025 and I finished it, I think, in August 2025. And I mean, it was really like I was typing all summer like this, and it is only 100 pages long. And at the time when I finished it, the UK was dealing with the new kind of Online Safety Act, which essentially means that lots of sites online are now restricted for British people. And so I was like, well, this whole, you know, digital blockade thing that I came up with is already happening. And so because of that, there was a little bit deep down where I was like, I need to get this book out as soon as possible, because it's written in a near future Britain. It does extend into quite far into the future, but because it's written in the near future, I was like, things are going to start happening that are happening in the book probably, and then people are going to think I've written it after that. And no, I'm prophetic is what I am, or more, I'm just justified in my fears because things keep happening. It's going to be published by Nefarious Press, who published tran5, which is one of my favourite horror books of all time. It was one of my top books of 2025, and I was already kind of talking to them because they had invited me to contribute to a forthcoming anthology. And so I sent them this story in April when I wrote it, and they said, this is great, yes, absolutely, but maybe you could do more with this. And if you do, let us know. And I was like, okay. And then I finished it and I went through a round of edits, and my amazing, wonderful, brilliantly talented sibling, Joma West, who is an author who's published by Tor, did an edit. And then I sent it to Nefarious Press and I was like, what do you think? And they said, we'll take it. We'll do it. And I was like, it can't be that simple, surely. That's not, no. Really? So then I agonized and I did that whole thing of like, surely you don't do the first thing. Even though like I had a really good feeling about Nefarious Press, I was like, surely I'm supposed to, I don't know, shop it around a little bit. And so I went through the whole rigmarole of, you know, doing a synopsis and doing agency letters, and sent it out to maybe 15 agents, not a huge number, just because I felt like I should. And I got rejections from all of them, and they were all very nice rejections, actually. They were great. And what a lot of them were saying was that for a debut author starting with a novella, a conceptual sci-fi novella, is going to be a really hard sell in publishing at the moment. And they were just like, I can't take it on, which is very nice of them. But then I was like, well, my gut is sort of telling me I don't want to do, like, I don't want to publish it myself because I have a chronic illness and I have a job and I have to support myself and I have to do lots of things, and I just don't, it's a lot of work. And, you know, just even maintaining sort of I love doing TikTok and I love doing Blue Sky and everything, but even that is sort of almost work for me sometimes. And so I was like, that's self-publishing is too much, and I would love to go with an indie publisher. I've got one I really like that has already said yes, like at this point months ago. So I was like, okay, I'll send it to one more indie publisher that I really, really like. And then they didn't get back to me for a little while because their window was quite long. And it got to, I was just getting impatient. And then it got to January and I was like, I just want to get it out there. And so I messaged the other indie publisher. I was like, I have an offer. Do you want this? And they were like, thank you for letting us know, but no, it's not for us right now. So I was like, great, okay. Went back to Nefarious Press and I was like, let's do this. And I have been having a great time so far. I'm not sure if this is the case with all indie publishers, but for the relationship that I'm having with Nefarious Press, I am really involved in every part of it. I got to sort of be really involved in the edit and talk about it, go back and forth, think about when it's going to come out. I can choose when it's going to come out. I think about like what kind of marketing we wanted to do, who we wanted to send it to. The cover, I basically got to brief the cover myself and choose the cover artist, Drew Huff, who is an incredible cover artist and also has a book coming out with Nefarious Press, The Exodontist, in October, a month after mine. And I couldn't have wanted anything better than this. This felt like exactly, this is the vibe of the book. It is, part of the book takes part in Trinidad. It's a really important part of my identity. I wanted it to feel bright and tropical, and my name is Disco, and there's all of those elements, but I also wanted to get the, this is dystopian in there, and I think he did a great job. Drew's amazing. So now I'm in that weird position of the book is out there in the world. Some people have arcs, it's getting reviews, it's coming out in September. I need to stop obsessing over it and move on with my life. So now I am working on something else. I have picked up the magnum opus again. The magnum opus from that I started 10 years ago is a biblical time travel novel, which is very queer. So it's basically a retelling of Adam and Eve, but also with lots of time travel. And I'm getting to a good point with it, but it's a complex book. It is a big boy, so I keep putting it down, and I've just become okay with that. The other work in progress is a Regency mystery with Hannibals, which is an interest. Like, I got very, very excited about this in January when I started it. I've slowed down a little bit because I realized I don't actually know a lot about Regency stuff. My historical knowledge about Regency stuff is basically taken from period dramas. And so I got a little bogged down in that, and I was like, no. I mean, I'll just pick it back up again when I feel like I can just write it without going, what's a marquee? And then in the last 7 days, I entered some kind of weird fugue state and wrote 25k words of a new secret project, which is completely different genre. Not totally different from things that I've written in the past. I have been published in various kinds of magazines and in my industry as a semiotician, but also in another genre, and all of that is anonymous and you can't find it, so don't even try. But it feels like I'm returning to something, and it is very fun and has taken over my life. So at some point, one of these things will get finished and it will get out in the world, and it is the best distraction, because as an author, when your book is actually out there and people start reading it, this is my first experience of it, and it is kind of mortifying and terrifying and exciting and overwhelming at the same time. So I think I'm just going to ignore it. This is a huge TikTok about getting published and writing a book, and I hope it's maybe helpful to someone. And yeah, support trans authors, read trans books. I hope you're having a great readathon.